What is going on, fellow alchemists? Welcome to Quasi Astrology. Today we are talking about Mars in the third house. Third house ruled over by Gemini, ruled by the Lord Mercury. So let's get straight into this one. So Mars in the third house. What does this mean for somebody who has this placement in their chart? Well, Mars represents willpower. Mars represents devotion. Mars is that constant grind, the hard grit, the perseverance, and the sustenance to always thrive and succeed. So what happens when Mars sits in the third house, the mercurial house ruled over by the sign of Gemini and Lord Mercury? Well, or traditionally Lord Mercury. Well, it's pretty simple really. We see somebody who could be quite pugnacious because the third house is all about our ability to communicate. It's about our immediate area, our local vicinity, our neighborhood. It's about traveling, but traveling with limitations assigned to it. It's also about the duality, the masculine and feminine principles. And it's about the third dynamic element, which I really suggest if you're interested in how that can manifest in the LGBTQI community, I really suggest you watch the video that I made on the third dynamic principle, Mercury. So, what happens when Mars sits here? We see a pugnacious individual, somebody who's quite forthright, somebody who doesn't hold back. Because you're communicating here, you're thinking, the way you think is quite aggressive. It can be quite militant, it can be quite competitive. If you're in a conversation or a debate, you might struggle unless, especially if it's a debate where you have to share views and share concepts. But you might very well dominate it at the end of the day because it's sitting in the mercurial third house. And so you might not only be able to dominate conversations, dominate arguments, but you could completely obliterate your opponents in that area, in the logical, analytical way you think. So Mars in the third house, if positively aspects, it can also make for a good orator, somebody who's really good at projecting their voice and really getting their point across. This is not someone who struggles at communicating, but somebody who will make sure they get their point across, which can come off as a little bit offensive to some people because it's so direct. So with the third house Mars, or Mars sitting in the third house, depending on what's sitting on top of the third house, you have to look at what the star sign is that's sitting on top of the third house, because then you see how it's expressed and in what type of energy, what's the cloak that energy is coming out of. But again, the whole trick with learning how to work with Mars in the third house is all about learning when not to engage in a fight, learning how to share, how to do service to your local neighborhood, and share your ideas, share your motivations, and work with other people and encompass other people so that you can grow together. Because remember, Gemini is a mercurial house, it's also about working out all those deeply analytical and pedantic processes that you're able to conjure up in this part of the chart, because I always believe that, especially in Gemini or anything really relating to Mercury, whether it's ruled over by or has a placement in there, Mercury is helping you reach the third dynamic principle, which is a combination of the two primary principles of the masculine and feminine principle. So you're able to work with the third dynamic principle, and that will definitely come out in your communication skills. That'll definitely come out in the way you talk to other people. You're very direct, but you need to work and meld into that the nature of Mercury. Not just the direct nature and forward going of Mars, but the melded nature and the dynamic duality and adaptability and flexibility of Mercury. So for the alchemist, that was Mars in the third house. If you have this placement, please drop down a comment. Tell us what it's like to have this placement in your chart. And more importantly, don't forget to subscribe. Drop a like down below, and I'll see you next time when I do Mars in the fourth house. So until then, take good care of yourself. Goodbye.